What's up, people? My name is Shaggy, the opinionated hippie, currently ranking and reviewing every single Frank Zappa album released after he passed in December of 1993. I've already done all the other ones released prior to his passing elsewhere on this channel if you're interested. But I'm currently on number 40, QuAUDIOphiliac. Quadraphonic audiophiliac. QuAUDIOphiliac. This was released in 2004. It is a quadraphonic mixed album that I think Frank did all the quad mixes prior to passing. And the story behind this is Dweezil discovered a box in the vault with his name on it, and inside the box, if I'm understanding this, was a version, a tape that contained what is the earliest known version of Chunga's Revenge. And when he and Joe Travers, the archivist, listened to it, they realized that it was not a regular mono or stereo mix, but it was a quadraphonic mix. So like the ultimate surround sound, 4 speakers, you sit in the middle, it sounds like you're surrounded by the musicians. So this eventually led them to find other songs, 10 of them, which they have released on this album, QuAUDIOphiliac. It is no longer available on Zappa.com. It is not streaming on any services that I belong to. It is on YouTube, which is why I'm reviewing this. So if you are interested, you can go check it out. I have never heard the quad version. I do have this. It is a burnt CD that somebody who does have the quad version made me. So I don't really know what I have, whether it's just a flattened stereo version, or I don't know how that works, but I don't have a quad system. So I don't think I've ever heard this as it's intended to be heard, but I have it. And I enjoy it a lot. And the reason it's 40 and not, say, 50, or why it's 40 and not, say, 30, is because a lot of the stuff has been released before. And I do enjoy the albums that the stuff is on more. Like, I really enjoy the albums that the stuff is on, so I listen to those. But it has a couple new things that I really, really enjoy. So I kind of go back to this more often than, the stuff further down this list, only because that new stuff is really good. But this is what it is. It opens up with 3 orchestral favorite tracks, two of which are now only available on the 40th anniversary release. So they're all available elsewhere, but these are shorter versions of them. So you get Naval Aviation and Art to open, a 1 minute and 34 seconds of that. Love that song. That's just a great little Frank. That's been around for a while. That's a great little Frank snippet of classical music. That's followed by a 1 minute excerpt of the Lumpy Gravy version of Orchestral Favorites. This is one of the more chaotic, dissonant sections. And then that's followed by Rollo, which is a great song. 6 minutes of this. This song debuted during the Wazoo tours. It had lyrics. Frank dropped the lyrics, and then it became sort of the instrumental we know it as now. But then it wasn't played from Wazoo, and then it didn't pop up again until the orchestral favorite shows in 75, and then it disappeared, and then it popped up at the end of Don't Eat the Yellow Snow on 78 and 79. And you can hear that on Stage 1 or Chicago 78. So after Father Oblivion ends, that part that it goes into, that bum, 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 I have seen him rubbing it, I have seen him rubbing it, that part, this is an instrumental version of that part. And once you hear those lyrics, you can never unhear them. So if you haven't heard that, listen to this first, so those lyrics aren't in your head. I have seen him rubbing it. So that's a great start. The orchestral, that 9 or so minutes of orchestral music to kick this off works really well. That goes into the only downer track of this, which is Drooling Mid-Range Accountants on Easter Hay. It's sort of a very basic, bare-bones percussion version of Watermelon and Easter Hay, over which Frank talks about the dying music business and how it's run by mid-range accountants who only want to make money. And it's a lot of complaining, and I agree with almost everything Frank says, but I don't need to hear him complain all the time in the middle of otherwise fantastic music. That's followed by Wild Love, the only song with lyrics on here. Love that song. Always sounds good. Then Ship Ahoy, the same version that's on Shut Up and Play Your Guitar. Another just great guitar solo. That's followed by Chunga's Basement. Oh, Ship Ahoy, if you don't know. So in 76, when Frank started playing Zoodalures, after he would play Zoodalures, he would do like a typical solo, and then he would do this really heavily affected, like wah, 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 thing, and play with this sound effect and go off, and Bozzio's drums are ridiculous. But that's what this is. 5+ minutes of great Frank guitar playing. That's followed by one of the greatest treats on this album, Chunga Basement. This is Chunga's Revenge, probably the earliest version we know. It almost sounds like Frank's figuring out as they're playing it. And it's a 4-piece. I think it's Underwood on keyboards, Max Bennett on bass, Dunbar on drums, Frank on guitar. And it just starts with a do, really low-key bass. And then Frank starts playing. And then like right towards the end, it's like 11.5 minutes long. I think it's somewhere around the 7 or 8 minute mark where he starts going da na na, and he figures out that sort of opening chord progression that would, kind of dominate the song after this. But this is really neat to kind of hear them going through the paces of this song for the first time, and it's just a really, really good listen. That's followed by Venetian Time Bandits, which is a guitar solo from a More Trouble Every Day from the 74 tour. I think it's the same 74 tour. I think it's the spring one, the one that is documented on Roxy and elsewhere, that Son of Orange County, More Trouble comes from the spring tour, the Mother's 10th anniversary tour, where they did a bunch of Mother songs. But it's just the guitar solo. It's like 1.5 minutes of the guitar solo, almost 2 minutes. And it just sounds weird. Frank's got a lot of effects on it. It sounds Venetian. Or is it Venusian? Venetian is E-T-I-N. This is Venus, I-A-N. So that's not Venetian. That's Venusian. Venusian? I've never heard this word said. Venus, Ian. Venetian? I don't know. But that's the song. Then we get Waka Jawaka. Pretty much the same Waka Jawaka that's on Waka Jawaka, but the ending, there's about an extra 2 minutes that's been tacked on, most of it towards the end, that gives it a whole different feel. It's another little weird keyboard sound effect that creeps in, and it just kind of trails off in a much more trippier, less organized way than the album version. And I actually think this might be better than the album version, and I love that album and that version, but it's definitely worth checking out. And then it closes with Basement Music number 2, which is another sort of Frank fooling around with electronics. Not that interesting. Kind of a bummer way to close out the CD or album or wherever you listen to this, but not bad. But since this is not streaming anywhere, or you cannot buy it, I highly recommend you go to YouTube and you either listen to the whole album or you just search the songs for Chunga Basement, Venusian Time Bandits, Venetian Time Bandits, and Waka Jawaka. Listen to those 3 because they're great. And that's it. That's what I got to say about this. It's a weird release. I wasn't going to review it for a while just because it's not available, but it's an interesting document, and I really do hope. I think there's probably, hopefully, enough material out there for the ZFT to do like a 2, maybe a 3-disc set of that early 70s. There was a little tour that Frank did, the Hot Rats tour. Obviously we have this, Chunga's Basement. We have there's a lot of little things. There's a Charlena on Lost Episodes, which is probably from that same era. So maybe we'll get a release of this stuff at some point, ZFT, because since this is not available, this QuAUDIOphiliac, I do think Chunga Basement, I don't know if there's an S on there or not, because I don't have a copy of the actual album. And I guess I could look it up on Zappa.com. Yeah, according to Zappa.com, it's just Chunga Basement. So, Chunga Basement is phenomenal. But anyways, good album. I do recommend you maybe go to YouTube and check it out. Don't go buy it on Amazon because it's like $300. All right, that's all I got to say, guys. Let me know what you think about this, or let me know what you not think. Thank you for watching. Subscribe, algorithms, all that kind of stuff. Stay safe, y'all. Peace.